Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few questions. I want to start with Mr. Silvers. And let me preface it by saying, with a background in engineering, I constantly look to data to help inform my thinking and policy making. So I took particular note in an answer on your questionnaire where you stated that collecting and disseminating immigration-related data should be an important priority, not just for me, but for all my colleagues. You also committed to working with DHS's operational components to improve data collection and dissemination. I can't emphasize enough the importance of streamlining data collection and dissemination in DHS and its component agencies. DHS's inconsistency in collecting and disseminating data in recent years has repeatedly led to confusion in this committee. For example, charts were used both in this committee and on the floor of the Senate to demonstrate supposedly the number of individuals crossing the border over the last year. The graphics that were used showed apprehensions of immigrants dipping shortly after the Trump administration ordered expulsions of migrants under Title 42. The problem, according to immigration experts, was that while DHS's data showed border encounters and apprehensions going down at this point, DHS actually stopped counting Title 42 expulsions as, quote, apprehensions. The data, therefore, was misleading. DHS's charge in data collection and dissemination is creating misinformation that only makes it more difficult for the public to understand and, sadly, for policymakers to understand as we're seeking to legislate important data to get a true understanding of what's happening at the border. So can you just briefly discuss how you would plan to improve and streamline, again, the collection and dissemination of important data within DHS and its component agencies?
Senator Padilla, thank you very much. It's a really important issue because I believe in the adage that you can't manage it if you can't measure it. And I think that collecting immigration-related data, border-related data is just a critical component of a comprehensive border management and strategy and a comprehensive immigration system administration strategy. The Office of Immigration Statistics is at DHS. I'm a private citizen now, but my understanding is that recently they've made tremendous strides and are doing a lot of innovative work to collect and disseminate those kinds of metrics. The components, ICE, Customs and Border Protection, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, also collect and disseminate their own data. I can absolutely commit to you that if I am confirmed, I will work together with those DHS offices and agencies to streamline, improve data collection and dissemination. I think you need that to do your job overseeing the immigration and border system as a member of Congress. I commit to working with you as well.
So thank you. And let me pull out another specific area that comes to mind when we look at data, beginning with 2 data points. In fiscal year 2010, 11,230 service members were naturalized, immigrants serving that became United States citizens. In contrast, that number in fiscal year 2020 was 4,530, right? More than a 50% drop. A number of policy decisions made under the Trump administration has resulted in the sharp drop in the number of military naturalizations. For example, the process for military members to receive a certification of honorable service to expedite their naturalization application was made more onerous. And again, fewer service members stationed abroad were able to have their applications processed due to the closure of USCIS offices. So affording women and men who are willing to serve, and in some cases, pay the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our nation and our democracy, they deserve a fair pathway to citizenship and naturalization. So what steps can USCIS take in conjunction with the Department of Defense to help facilitate military naturalizations, not make them more onerous?
Senator Padilla, I have attended military naturalization ceremonies. They are amongst the most beautiful events that the United States government holds. To see people who are fighting, putting their lives on the line for a country that is not yet their own, but that they aspire to be a part of, and then to take that step is a pure and beautiful thing. It is also an important component of keeping a fighting force and maintaining a strong fighting force with those who are ready to serve ably. And if I am confirmed, I commit to you to removing any unnecessary barrier to members, men and women in our military services taking that next step and naturalizing to become United States citizen.
Okay. I look forward to working with you on that. Final question, Mr. Chair. This one is for Colonel Tien. And I know, Mr. Chair, that you touched earlier in the hearing on the issue of domestic terrorism, but I'd like to ask more specifically about the DHS task force that's been established. In April, the department announced it would conduct an internal review to root out extremism. And specifically, the review would focus on rooting out white supremacy and domestic violent extremism, including in Custom and Border Protection and Immigration and Customs Enforcement. We're reminded of the news we learned in 2019, where a Facebook group that was that included participation of 9,500 current and former Border Patrol agents, where they made jokes about migrant deaths, circulated vile images, and made disrespectful comments against female members of Congress who visited detention centers when that group became public. So, Colonel Tien, can you discuss the importance of this review for the department's internal culture and how a transparent review affects the department's public image?
Senator Padilla, thank you very much for that question. And the first thing I'll say is I'm very glad, again, this is as a private citizen, that Secretary Mayorkas has taken this step to conduct an internal DHS review on domestic violent extremism, very similar to what the Department of Defense has done around their stand down for very similar purposes. I'll say again, as a private citizen, my individual opinion as it stands now is racism, white supremacy, hateful ideology, especially when it converts and becomes action and breaks the law, is an anathema to the very ideals, the very principles of what makes this nation so unique, so differentiated in the world. It's abhorrent. It's abhorrent. In terms of the DHS internal review, there is this, from what I understand, again, I'm not privy, I'm not in the department now, but from what I understand, it is a review not about thought control, right? It's about action control, and it's about making sure, again, I say this as a private citizen, I've not been privy to all of the different elements of how they're doing the review. It is really about saying there is no place for this kind of white supremacy, this kind of racist and hateful ideologies, especially if it converts into action, and especially if it breaks the law. And so, if confirmed, Senator, you have my commitment to ensure that DHS internal review is fully supported.
So, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.